Welcome to video 4 in the Money Education Financial Statement Preparation and Analysis Software Instructional Video Series. This video will cover how to build your base case when entering information on the Insurance tab. When you log into the software on the Manage Cases page, you can choose from an existing case or you can create a new case. We're going to continue working with the example clients that we've been working with in prior videos. You'll notice that the information that we entered previously has been saved on the Investments Planning tab, the Client Name and Income tab, and on the Assets and Savings tab. Now we're ready to enter information on the Insurance tab. On the left side of the screen, you have an area where you can enter the various types of insurance that are owned by the client. The fields with the yellow triangle are required to ensure that you have provided sufficient data for analysis purposes. Let's enter a few types of policies for these clients, starting with a life insurance policy on the client. We'll make this one a whole life policy with the client as the insured, and we'll give it a $500 monthly premium paid by the client. Notice that we do have to select the premium frequency, and in this case, I do want a monthly premium. The inflation rate will show up as 0 for life insurance because typically those premiums are fixed and do not increase every year. Down below, we entered some additional information about the policy. This one is a whole life policy. We'll give it a death benefit of $100,000. And to keep things simple, I'm going to have a cash value of 0. So this is a brand new policy and does not have cash value as of yet. If there were a cash value, we would need to go back to the Assets tab and enter that as an investment asset to note that there is cash value for the asset and it can be used toward goals. If the case indicated the client was not willing to use that cash value toward goals, then we would list it as a personal use asset rather than an investment asset. In this case, since my cash value is 0, I don't have to enter it as an asset. And I can enter the beneficiary information. We'll make that the spouse. And we click Save to save the record. Let's also give the client a term life policy. And let's make this one a $1,000 annual premium. But I'm going to intentionally forget to change the premium frequency from monthly to annually. And I'm going to do that so that in another video, I can show you how to identify when you've entered something incorrectly and go back and correct it. So we'll let that as monthly, even though we know it's supposed to be annual. Down below, we'll enter the term policy and we'll put in the face amount as provided with the case information and update the beneficiary and save the record. Let's also give them a homeowner policy because we did enter a home as a primary residence. And I'm going to call this HO3 without endorsements. So your case information will tell you whether they do or do not have endorsements on coverage C for open perils and replacement costs. I'm going to say these clients do not have endorsements on their policy. We'll make them joint insureds. And let's say the premium is $1,100 annually. Now this one does have an inflation rate because typically your homeowner policy premiums will increase a bit each year, so we use the general inflation rate there. And that's important because on our Reports tab, we'll be able to run pro forma or projected financial statements to look at how the client's plan progresses over time. Now again, down at the bottom, I enter additional information about the policy for my analysis purposes. So this was an HO3 policy. The drop-down list is coming from the Assets tab. So had I put in a vacation home, for example, I could choose primary residence or vacation home for this particular policy. And we had the dwelling at a value of $300,000, so we'll just have them be fully insured here. Other structures coverage is typically 10% of the dwelling, and personal property is typically 50% of the dwelling, so we'll use that information there. Commonly, your policies will have $100,000 personal liability and $10,000 medical. That information will be provided for you in the case information as well as the deductible. So we'll save that record. And then let's add one more. Let's enter some insurance on the autos that we put in as assets for them. And I entered the autos as one single entry instead of separate entries on my assets tab. So I'm going to put autos insurance on both. And let's say the premium for that auto insurance is $1,500 a year. Again, increasing at 3% inflation. And below, we're going to enter the additional information. So it's a personal auto policy. Let's say the case told us the medical coverage was $5,000, collision deductible was $1,000, comprehensive deductible is $1,000. Again, my drop-down list here for the asset comes from what I entered on the Assets tab. So there you see my autos that I input previously. And let's just say that their liability protection was provided in the case as $100,000, $300,000, and $50,000, with the uninsured motorist coverage to match that. And we can save that record. And as with other tabs, you'll notice that all of the records that I have entered now show up on the right-hand side of the screen. And I can go back and I can review them and I can make changes if necessary. If I were to make any changes, I would simply make that change and then click the Save button. We are not ready to use Save Recommendations yet. Recommendations are implementing the plan. What are we going to do to reach your goals? Right now, all we're trying to accomplish is entering the base case information exactly as it's provided within the case text. This concludes our look at the Insurance tab. In the next video in the series, we'll review how to enter the information on the Expenses and Liabilities tab, as well as on the Estates tab.